Major moves. We going all in, like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.
Welcome back to my channel. I want to thank you guys for actively deciding to spend time with me. I'm just a guy in a Spider-Man mask, a cool one I might add. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just providing information and content already on the internet, and I just read it and present it to you guys in a way that may reach you or may not reach you. Whatever the reason is you found my page, I'm grateful you're here, and thank you for spending time with me. Let's get into this. What is up, everybody? I'm Mr. Man. Welcome back to my channel. Today I got a good one for you today. Well, they're always good. When are they not? But this one is going to put the puzzle pieces together for you in terms of regulatory oversight and clarity here. I'm going to give you the game plan. That way you guys know what's coming up and how to plan for it, okay? So when we look at regulations, it's trying to fit the pieces in alphabetical order. That way we can follow this in chronological order. So, that being said, let's read what Ripple says here. A real approach to crypto regulations. Alright, my first question is, why is Ripple suggesting this? Right? Why does it concern them at all? There we go. Ripple's vision for how existing financial regulatory framework can be used to advance innovation and enhance consumer market protection. Introduction. At Ripple, we recognize that novel and fast-growing technologies like crypto and blockchain require new regulatory paradigms, while providing consumer and market protection through regulation is imperative. Opportunity for innovation and growth must also be at the heart of any policy framework. We believe clear communication and collaboration between private and public actors will be key in developing an effective policy framework for cryptocurrencies. That is the reason why we have proactively discussed the issue on a bipartisan basis with a wide range of policymakers. These conversations have provided perspectives on the type of regulatory clarity that cryptocurrency industry and broader ecosystem need, as well as the type of requirements regulators should demand from the industry. As the debate continues, we wanted to share our vision of a pragmatic regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies, blockchain-enabled payments, and digital assets. This proposal reflects our hope for a regulatory framework that encourages the unleashed potential of crypto and blockchain tech, while also establishing important consumer and market protection. Alright guys, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this now. Second page here, okay? The U.S. financial market are considered first in class, and that is due in part of the existing regulatory framework under which they operate. We believe that framework is adapted to account for some of the unique attributes inherent to cryptocurrencies, can provide the clarity innovators need, and the market protections consumers deserve. At least 2 legislative proposals have already been proposed to accomplish that accurately, or that. The Security Clarity Act. What is the Security Clarity Act? Here we go. Here's the bill. The Security Clarity Act, H.R. 4451, by Tom Emmer. Okay, I've read this stuff before, but you guys new on my page here, you might not have seen the other, past videos. So let me show you guys what's going on here, okay? This bill excludes an investment contract asset as being considered a security. See that new word there? Investment contract asset. It's not an investment contract. It's an investment contract asset as being considered a security, including for disclosure and registration purposes. An investment contract asset, as defined by the bill, is a tangible or intangible asset, such as crypto, sold pursuant to an investment contract. So the investment contract asset was sold prior to it being an investment contract. that is not otherwise considered a security. So let me break that down for you guys, okay? This. Hold on. Is it that? One of them. Maybe not that. Hold up a second. It is this one right here. Right here.
One court case as well. So for the CFTC's position that virtual currencies like Bitcoin or Ether are commodities.
Not that one.
Sufficient knowledge of all this. Putting my regulator's hat on, I do not have sufficient knowledge as the regulator to make a determination. It just wasn't. It would be a very specific determination based on facts and circumstances, which is what I want the regulator to do.
I go back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I don't see anything in the case law that tells me that, you know, some string of digits that, you know, operates on a blockchain can just be a security, right? You can have a transaction, an arrangement, a scheme, as Dan says, where you can sell something. You could sell anything. You can sell, you know, whiskey barrels, you can sell oranges, you can sell minks or whatever as part of an investment contract. But that doesn't make the underlying asset itself an investment contract. So if I create a digital asset and I sell it to people to try to raise money to promote the network, that could be an investment contract transaction. But when someone else goes and uses the asset to do, you know, whatever they want to do, whatever its utility case is, or to sell it in a secondary market, that's not necessarily part, you know, of my investment contract transaction. And so I think it's kind of a weird question in some sense, to be asking, you know, is this digital asset a security or not? I think you should be asked.
So, first thing to note, this is Dan Berkowitz. He is the former commissioner of the CFTC. And this is Colin Lloyd, a partner at Sullivan and Cromwell. He is the lawyer speaking on behalf of, or I can't say on behalf of, but he's the one clarifying what Dan Berkowitz is saying there. But you heard him talking about that there. Investment contract and investment contract asset. Two different things. Okay? So, that being said, let's go back. So we're just going through the regulatory framework here that Ripple provided here, the policy framework, and matching it up with the regulations and the bills that exist. So that what they were talking about there is Ethereum. Interesting, isn't it? Ethereum is the front man for XRP, for Ripple, if you will. What happens in Ethereum is what's happening behind the scenes with Ripple or XRP. Why do I say that? Well, think about it. Ripple is considered it's in court right now because they're suggesting it's a security. XRP is a security because they had sold it as an investment contract. Meanwhile, Ripple's saying it's not an investment contract, it's an investment contract asset. We didn't sell it intended to make money off of the particular sales of the XRP itself in terms of or providing a dividend to the individual investors. So, Ethereum had converted from proof of work, POW, over to proof of stake at that point now. And it was considered a security commodity before. A commodity similar to Bitcoin. And then as it transitioned, now they're considering it a non-security. So it's not a commodity, it's not a security, it's a non-commodity right now. Cryptocurrencies have the potential to change and alternate, or to be all of them at the same time. Okay? The Security Clarities Act, reintroduced on a bipartisan basis by Tom Emmer. In the SEC's application of the Supreme Court's 1946 Howey case to digital tokens issued as part of an investment contract. Specifically, the bill proposes a new term, investment contract asset, and makes clear that such assets should be considered separate and distinct from any securities offering, just as that lawyer was talking about. If you didn't catch it all, go back and watch it again. It's a short clip. I think that may have been part of. That is, digital tokens are not transformed into securities merely because they may have been issued in connection with an investment contract. Rather, the bill clarifies that these assets are in fact and always were commodities. Done. 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 Of course, when securities law do not apply to a digital token, other regulatory mechanisms are needed to ensure safe and orderly markets. During the last Congress, former Rep. Mike Conaway, as well as Reps. Emmer, Soto, Dusty, blah, 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 sought to address this issue through the introduction of the DCEA, the Digital Commodity Exchange Act. Complementary to the SCA was the Security Clarity Act, and DCEA seeks to create a federal definition of digital, where is it? Commodity exchange, and charges the CFTC with authority to register and oversee them, similar to the requirements in commodity and derivatives. Interesting. The framework permits digital commodity exchanges to opt in to federal oversight, while voluntarily we believe the following. These exchanges to operate throughout the entire United States would create a strong incentive to opt in, given the only regulatory... Did I skip a bunch of stuff here? Yeah, there's an entire page up here. So, I want you guys to hear this 5-minute piece first, and I'll jump back to here, okay? This here.
One court case as well. So for the CFTC's position that virtual currencies like Bitcoin or Ether are commodities is a longstanding position of the CFTC. SEC has not taken actually a position on whether Ether is a commodity. The chair was testified before Congress and did not say a position either way on Ether. So technically the SEC hasn't declared what Ether is, but nonetheless, the two statements that Ether is a commodity and it may or may not be a security, or if any virtual currency is a security, the fact that something may be a commodity and something is a security are not contradictory. Something can actually be both a commodity and a security. The confusion in this area, the law is clear. The law is clear between the difference between commodities and securities. Something that can be a commodity can also be a security. But the confusion arises because people think of the term commodity in a colloquial sense, meaning a good or an article, something like oil or pork bellies. And they think of commodities as tangible things. And in the layperson sense, that's how we use that word in every day. But the word commodity in the Commodity Exchange Act, which gives the CFTC regulatory jurisdiction, has a technical meaning that encompasses the ordinary meaning, but it's slightly different. And the meaning in the Commodity Exchange Act is the basis for the CFTC's jurisdiction. So in the Commodity Exchange Act, a commodity is defined as, and it lists a number of agricultural goods like wheat, oat, barley, eggs, butter, things like that, cotton. And then it says, and anything else that can be the subject of a futures contract. So a commodity really in the Commodity Exchange Act is a functional definition. It means something that can be the subject of a futures contract. The security, on the other hand, as I'm sure listeners know, is defined in the Securities Act and the Exchange Act, and it includes things like notes, evidence of indebtedness, and investment contracts. And what's an investment contract is subject to the Howey test. So really, in both statutes, you have a security, and that's defined in a functional way. And then in the Commodity Exchange Act, you have a commodity, which is defined in a functional way as something that can be the subject of a futures contract. Now, the CFTC's jurisdiction over commodities really is two different types of jurisdiction. What we think of as regulatory jurisdiction to regulate a market is that regulatory jurisdiction really only goes to derivatives of commodities like futures and swaps. So the CFTC, as the name Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and this, Laura, I think this is the way maybe that cuts through the confusion. When you think of CFTC jurisdiction, you shouldn't really be thinking commodity. It's not the Commodity Commission or the Commodity Trading Commission. It's the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. What it really regulates is the trading of futures contracts. And the word commodity in that context is actually superfluous because a commodity is something that can be subject of the futures contract. So it's those two words, commodity and futures, complement each other in that way. So the CFTC's regulatory jurisdiction is over commodity, the trading of commodity futures, not just plain commodities. And now, since Dodd-Frank, that also includes swaps. So looking at CFTC jurisdiction, you say, is it a derivative? And if it's a derivative like a futures contract, then the CFTC has jurisdiction. If it's a security, though, the SEC has jurisdiction. So Chair Benham's statement that ether's a commodity, well, a commodity, if it's a derivative on a commodity, the CFTC has jurisdiction. But if it's a security, then the SEC would have jurisdiction. Then there's the special case. Yes, you can have something can be both. It can be a commodity under the CEA and a security. And that would be like a futures contract on a security, which would be like a futures contract on Apple stock. And that is a security future, and both agencies have jurisdiction on it. So yes, it's a little more deep.
Both have jurisdiction on it. You heard that? You heard. Let us go back. Let me just clean my eyeballs here. And let's go back. All right? Both have jurisdiction on it. The bill, which requires the establishment of collaboration working group consisting of appointees from the Security Exchange Commission, SEC, and Commodity Futures Trading Commission, as well as representatives from fintech companies, financial firms, and small businesses, passed the House and remains pending in the Senate. All right? There we go here. This bill provides that the regulation and registration of digital commodity exchange are subject to oversight of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. The bill establishes the conditions for the sale of digital commodities, the registration of exchanges, and sets forth other requirements. Okay, that's the bill there, the DCEA. But I read that there, that they're going to have both appointees within where? Right there. Appointees from both of them. You heard the CFTC ex-commissioner talk about that already. You heard it. Not my words. I'm just putting the puzzle pieces together. Why is he talking about it when Ripple had stated this earlier? This was in 2019, I believe this policy framework came out. I could be wrong with the date, but just know this isn't recently. And there's one more thing I want to show you guys here about DeFi. All right? We all need to know about DeFi.
So there were entrenched interests that oppose many of those reforms. So, I mean, DeFi should be regulated. There's no exception for any particular technology, and it needs to meet the same principles. Now, it's a different technology, and there may be specific issues that need to be addressed, and those can be addressed within the current regulatory system. I do believe there is a gap right now, not so much on DeFi, but this area we were talking about legislatively with the non-security commodity market, like Bitcoin, for example, that there is, for an exchange in the U.S. trading Bitcoin, there is no regulatory oversight on that. There's the CFTC's Anti-Fraud and Anti-Manipulation Authority, but just a Bitcoin exchange, spot market Bitcoin, there's not a regulatory agency in charge of that. So I believe that that's a gap.
Just to be clear, Dan, we're not a federal regulatory agency, right? There are pretty comprehensive and extensive state regulatory regimes that exist. A lot of the we have spot Bitcoin exchanges, for example.
So you heard them. You heard them yourself. Bitcoin is not even regulated. Come on, there's gaps. There's gaps. And the main stablecoin, you guys hear them talk about all the time, day in, day out, is Diem and Libra. Libra came in with Facebook, and the bank shut that down quickly, didn't let that exist. They didn't let that exist. Why? Because they don't want things that are outside of their jurisdictions. If it's not inside their grasp, they're going to crush the shit out of it. Believe you me. They will get rid of it. Bitcoin is operating outside their system. Do you think they're going to allow something like that to exist? Come on. You heard that there. It's operating in a gray zone. Well, I do hope you guys found some value in this one. This is a short one for you. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Making major moves. We going all in. Like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.